Welcome to Lesson 2 of the unit on measurement. In this video lesson, we want to look at 4 different items. First, we want to review the decimal number system. This is also called the base 10 number system. And a second, we want to introduce the common metric units for length and their relationships. Next, here we want to transfer from the counting of coins or the conversion of coin values to metric length units. And then finally, we will look at unit conversion and give some sample questions how to do this in the metric system. Before we get into the metric system and the units for measuring length, I like to start at the number system, the way we use pretty well everywhere in the world. Essentially, all the numbers that we use and that we can make consist of 10 different symbols. And so what happens when we have nothing, we start with the symbol 0. We call it 0, and it's actually kind of like a little circle. And then after that we have the 1, the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. For 10 we don't have a symbol because we already used up all 10 symbols. So for 10 we need to create something else. So what we do is we count one group of 10 and 0 ones. So one group of 10 and 0 ones, so we write it as 1 0. And then we can go on with adding ones. So we get 1 1, 1 2, 1 3, etc. Think of it as counting cents. Here I have 3 columns, and the last column here is the column for cents. So as I'm adding cents, I'm counting. I started with 0. At this moment, we have a count of 4 cents. So the last column here that we have shown here is the column that counts cents. So we continue. And as I mentioned before, when we get to 9 cents, the column is full. So now we have 9 cents. If we add 1 more cent, we get 1 dime. All right, so I'm going to exchange, instead of adding 1 more cent, now we have 1 in this column and 0 in this column. This is now the dimes column, and this is still the cents column. So that's the next one. This is how we write it. 1 group of 10 and 0 group of 1. So now we can continue again. We have 19 cents. So you know what's going to happen next, because when we add 1 more cent, we don't have more symbols here in this row. So I'm going to exchange the 10 cents that we have then. So here's the 10 cent. There's no room for it. So I'm going to exchange it. And now we have 20 cents. We have 2 dimes or groups of 10 cents. And we got 0 cents. All right, well, we can continue to do the same thing with the dimes. Add the dimes. And at this time, we have now 9 dimes and 0 cents. So we got, in total, we got 90 cents. 9 groups of 10 plus 0. So the same thing here, we can add the cents back up here, but when we get to 99 cents, this no longer works. There's no room for it. Okay, so I have to trade it in the 10 cents for 1 dime. But there's no room for 10 dimes. So now I have to trade in the 10 dimes for $1. So now we have $1, and $1 is a group of 10 times 10 is 100 cents. So now we have $1, that's 100 cents. So one group of 100, we call them dollars. 0 groups of 10 cents, we call them dimes, and 0 cents. So it's total of 100. This may sound very simple to you, but actually some of you might have always had a difficulty with understanding this. If you don't understand the base 10 system or the 10 base system, it will be harder to understand the whole metric system and therefore to do the unit conversions between the units of the metric length measurement. Now we will look at the common units used for measuring length in the metric system. The meter is, of course, the standard unit that is used in this system. I hope you tried out how long a meter is compared to your body. This way you will always have a good estimate for the length of 1 meter. Now 1 meter is divided into 10 decimeters. We just studied the 10 base system, which is also called the decimal number system. Deci refers to 10, so the prefix deci means 10. A prefix means it is fixed or attached. Pre, that means in front of a word. You may know the word prehistory, referring to the time before recorded history. Although we do not use the decimeter very often in Canada, in this introduction it is very helpful to be familiar with it. Other prefixes more commonly used in the measurement of length are centi and milli. We already know that centi refers to 100. So a centimeter is 100th part of a meter, just as 1 cent is 100th part of a dollar in value. You probably know what a century is, or a centennial, or even a centurion. And a centipede has so many legs that people have called it a 100-legged creature. Mil, or milli, refers to 1,000. A millennium is a period of 1,000 years. And a millipede, you guessed it, is said to have 1,000 legs. How large is a centimeter? Did you check it out? How large is a millimeter? In this picture, I'm using calipers to measure the thickness of 1 dime. It tells me that the dime is about 1.2 millimeters thick. That's pretty close to 1 millimeter. Finally, we need to know the kilometer. The prefix kilo means 1,000. So 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. And a kilobyte of memory is officially 1,000 bytes. But how large is 1 kilometer? Can you imagine it? To give you an idea, you can use the program Google Earth. You can download it for free. And then when you have done that, you look for the location of your house, the place you live. Once you have found it, you use the ruler at the top of the screen. And you set it to kilometers, and then you measure from the place you live in any of the directions to find a feature that you would recognize. Once you have done that, you will have a pretty good idea of the length or distance of 1 kilometer. Now the unit for money in Canada is of course not the cent. It's actually the dollar. So instead of having 100 cents, we say $1. In this lesson we're actually not really supposed to deal with money, but with length in the metric system. It works about the same way, because the standard unit for length in the metric system is 1 meter, and 1 meter is 100 centimeters. 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So if we have $1.24, we actually have 124 cents, or $1.24. If we have a length of 1.24 meter, we actually have a length of 124 centimeters, or 1 meter plus 24 centimeters. So it's actually exactly the same pattern, because a cent is 1/100th of a dollar, so a centimeter is 1/100th of a meter. Finally, we get to the topic of unit conversion. Conversion means change from one to another, so we change from one unit to a different unit within the metric system. And when we say metric system, of course we talk about length. And we will use the units kilometer, meter, centimeter, and millimeter. Example 1. On Google Earth, I find that the distance from my home to the grocery store is 0.35 kilometers. If in one step I cover a distance of about 1 meter, how many steps does it take to go from home to the store? Notice that I have to find the distance in meters. Sketch a little 2x3 box or table. In the top squares, I will write the two units that we are dealing with. So first, kilometers, because that's given, 0.35 kilometers, and next to it, meters, m. Underneath, I write the ratio between kilometers and meters. So under kilometer, I write 1, and under meter, 1,000, because I have learned that 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. Finally, underneath there, in the bottom two boxes, I will write the specific information for this question. We know that under kilometers, we have to write 0.35, 35/100th of a kilometer. And we have to find the number of meters. So look at the ratio. To go from kilometer to meter, I have to multiply by 1,000. So I do the same for my question. I have 0.35 kilometers, so now I have to go 0.35 times 1,000 is 350 meters. Next question. I have 1.2 meters. How many centimeters is this? We draw another box. So in the top two squares, I write meter and centimeter, m and cm. The ratio I have learned is that 1 meter is 100 centimeter. So under m, I put 1. Under centimeter, I put 100. At the bottom, I write the information for this particular question. The distance is 1.2 meters. And we don't know the centimeters. To go from meters to centimeters, look at the ratio. We have to multiply by 100. So that's what I need to do for this question. I go 1.2 times 100 is 120. Don't forget to write down the unit. The answer is 120 centimeters. Third example. We have 350 millimeters. How many centimeters is this? Watch out. Now we go from a smaller unit, millimeter, to a larger unit, centimeters. We can do it the same way. In the top squares of the box, I write millimeters, centimeters. If I go millimeters first and centimeters next, I have to write 10 under millimeters and 1 under centimeter, because every centimeter is 10 millimeter. And finally, at the bottom, I write under millimeters 350. What is the answer in centimeters? Well, I look at the box and I notice that to go from millimeters to centimeters, I have to divide by 10. Because to go from 10 to 1, I have to divide it by 10. So also for our particular question, I have to take 350 millimeters divided by 10, and the answer is 35 centimeters. Don't forget, if you write down the final answer, you must include the unit. The answer is 35 centimeters. One more thing. If you want to check the answers and see if you've done it right, put everything in the proper boxes and did the right calculation, then you can multiply diagonally. You multiply left top times right bottom and right top times left bottom. The answers should be the same. 0.35 times 1000 is 350. And 1 times 350 is also 350. So check. I know I've done it right. Good luck. Practice well, because if you practice well, the next lesson will be fairly easy.